That's good.
Okay.
I think our attendance is okay, except I do believe Zilu
Group
message.
communication. Then it's try.
So group communication would be for the full moon session, right?
Yeah.
So so there's 3 participants. So I think we're all here already for the group. It's also good to note that we are considering changing the session from steering team to the support team. But I'm assuming today we're doing the steering team. So Lucy, what's next?
Where are we? I'm through with the slides. I'm done with the slides. Rankings and value.
Well, someone can do the rankings. I'll start on the value. So we're going to steering team.
Lucy, did you do the rankings? No. Which rankings are you asking? I think we are using rank. I did the rankings anyway. If you are asking on the meeting. No. Did you rank? No. I don't know what to rank on the meeting. Can do it. Okay, then we can.
All right, I'm done with the value. Putting the value in. It's and the steering team's another one where we have a lot of sessions. We could do team equity, but let me just do it later. Set up. Boy, I think everything's good for the value tracking. The rankings look good, so I think we're good. Do a global weekly check-in.
Have 2 more minutes in the weekly check-in. I think now you're on a prioritization.
I
think you're through the check.
I think we just skipped the prioritization because we're on super hard stuff.
Okay.
So do you want to take us through the desired outcomes and focus? Are we done with the global weekly check-in?
Yes, I'm done. Next step is it desired.
I'm hoping to make decisions on a mission within situation. And have a plan for our support session.
Learn 5-second pause.
Are there any other topics? Lucy, are you helping out here with the desired outcomes and topics?
I think Albina say we are on break. Is that something like that?
Well, it was just 5
breath.
seconds.
Breath.
Oh.
Breath. Okay. 30-second breath. It is done.
I think it was just a pause, actually.
No, we are on. In fact, it was just a pause. We are on desired outcome. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So maybe we could talk some about the taxes. Pretty quick. You guys have any other topics? Or Lucy, do you want to get agreement on the desired outcomes and focus the meeting?
I need to understand. Reviewing the recording, I think last time we did not. When someone is on video only, how that person supposed to write? I think I was trying to search where we have before. If we can review on that. At what point is someone to be on video only, and how many hours that person should record? Like we are having full moon. Maybe someone is watching later. Maybe I need just clarification on that.
So you're talking about value tracking and work reporting?
No, Lucy's saying, like, for example, I don't join the session and no one is aware whether I'm watching the YouTube video or no. How should I record on my work report?
Yeah, so
or maybe I watched it later.
Sounds like the question is work reporting, so we can go over work reporting.
Yeah.
Do that first.
We also need to review on taxes. Maybe.
Yeah, taxes.
Well, so I mean, I see that we have four items. We got 2 internal team things, work reporting, support team, and then 2 goals: mission within proposal, taxes.
At accounting also, if you have time, can review on accounting after. Yes, I think that is what I have.
There is also something we added on the beyond hardstop. There is yes, you say we need to have enough structure template with our clients.
Yeah.
If we have time to go through it.
We can even go through about the beyond hardstop if you have time.
Just call it legal. Well, that looks good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Lucy, do you
So
want to ask?
now we have. Pardon, Jay?
Do you want to ask any objections? Are there any objections? Can you ask, Lucy?
Yeah,
No.
or not.
All right, well, Lucy, you're supposed to ask. We were just waiting for you to ask.
I'm asking if there is someone still have something to add or any objection on the priority topics. Next is how long are we scheduled for session talk time, and how long are we going to be on this?
Well, let's just try to wrap up around 10:30, right? Wrap up in 1 hour. So that would be 10:30.
Then MBE, plasma.
We are at the bottom. 30-second stretch.
So we're doing our 30-second stretch.
Yes, we are on a 30-second stretch.
Way through the MBE. So if there's nothing, we go to proposals. Does anyone have a proposal?
We're doing MBE. I'm working on MBE right now. So for MBE, yeah, I mean, this one's gonna go over as well. I think we really just have 3. So obviously, let's see here. So MBE, we always have the HR board vote. But this happens at the end of month, right?
Yeah.
We can not worry about that. Then there's the WCTC board proposals. So digital storytelling is very creative, and Ed Fund sponsorship. This is done. That one was approved. And now we have the mission within proposal. And we'll talk about that in proposals as well. And then we still have the World Play board proposal, so that needs to be addressed as well. And then I'll also note for Plasma, for Plasma, I believe we have a Mercury session coming up. Is that true?
Mercury session. Let me confirm.
Oh, we skipped all our scheduling. Wait, what's our schedule for the next 2 weeks? Can you do that first?
Oh yeah, we skipped. Oh my.
Anyways, the main thing for Plasma is just to, this would be a responsibility, right? To list all decisions made over last 1.5 months. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if the Mercury session's coming up, we would get organized and list all the decisions. So I mean, even for steering team, we should be doing the last 2 weeks of this or last week of decisions, But anyways, I think that's pretty much it for Plasma. And any other things for MBE Plasma? All right, I think it's good. Does anyone want to do the schedule?
And I'm just on the schedule. We write the schedule that's coming up.
Upcoming sessions.
So we do have the Mercury Perihelion on the 25th.
Yeah.
So that is 5 days away. So for this one, we're definitely going to want to finalize the mission within at the Mercury session. Hopefully.
Let me check the session coming up.
Last quarter moon's on the 26th, the next day, so it's in a week. And then the new moon's on the 6th of March. Cool. Awesome, that's perfect.
6th March, yeah.
We got that date, we don't consider.
We'll just fix that one. It's for Koche. We need to fix it.
We should also have the recruitment commission.
Session is 25th.
Yeah, recruitment, next recruitment session, I don't know. I don't know when.
Last quarter moon.
It's already there on the schedule list.
Let me include the.
You need new co-chairs, I think.
All right, it's the March 4th. I got the ambassadors meeting.
5-second pause. Okay, it will be on 4th March.
And then we also have Friday recruitment. And maybe some 1099 taxes on Wednesday or something like that.
Friday at Andromeda.
All right, I think this all looks good. So
The Andromeda. Yes.
Lucy, are you ready to go on to proposals?
Yes.
I'm ready. I think we are on proposal now. We're through with the MBPs and BE stroke plus. So now we are on proposals. Anyone with a proposal?
I do have a proposal.
And
This is a mission within proposal. We have an agenda item for it, but I can quickly go over it. There's two options. So option one is to File report with Attorney General. And option 2 is to negotiate settlement, not settlement, severance money. So basically it's like, do we report them or do we do our severance? Those are our 2 options. And it's fine to do either one. We just have to go over the options and decide what we want to do.
So are we voting on both options?
Yeah.
Or we need to put on the voting form?
Yeah, but we'll go over it. We have it as a topic, so we'll go over it in more detail during our topic.
Okay.
Yeah, right here. All right. Any other proposals? Remember, we also have our Tuesday contention session, and that would be like drama or something like that.
That is today, I think so.
Oh, you're right. So I guess we're skipping that because of this session.
Today.
We're gonna do it next week, so it would be I believe here. Possibly, although the last quarter moon's happening next week, so it might be in the way. We'll see. All right. Anything else on the vibes? So I think we're ready, Lucy, to go through the topics. 1 minute.
Okay. I think. Yeah, done now. So yeah, on reviewing our topics, the first one is, are we reviewing group team setup? I think we are through with that group team setup.
The group team setup prior to planning is 1 minute each.
At first, we are on work reporting.
So what do we need to know for the work reporting? What was it again?
Yeah, we want to know when someone wants to record hours while watching the video, at what time? Is it when you are on, when people are, like we have a meeting now, maybe you cannot attend live, but you can participate, watch while others are still on, or you just watch when you are already offline. We want to know the recording, how someone can record the hours. You watch the video when the video is offline, you are through the meeting, and you watch the video after the meeting is done.
I mean, it is solved on that.
So for the support team, the question is, you know, obviously today we're doing steering team. So on new full moons, it's going to switch to support team. So for the new moon, do we want to switch?
30 seconds, 30 more seconds on that.
All right, I think that's it though. Cool. So the legal structure for clients and partners, we need template. Template client contracts. We also need template partnership MOUs, and we need like what's in between. So it's probably going to be research, you know, lawyers.
I mean, it is solved on that.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. All right, so then we have mission within proposal. I think I already went over the mission within proposal. So basically for mission within proposal, we have the two options. So we can go over those in more detail when we get there. Taxes. I think we're making some progress there. It's like, I think we're definitely the 50% mark, which is good overall.
Taxes, I think we need to get form from Jason and Melinda.
Yes. Jason and Melinda for find W9s. And we should already have their W9s. It's like, where are they? It's a pain in the butt. That would be responsibility. And this is
another responsibility, I don't know. We need also to work on Melissa, verifying Melissa amount. It's not verified. And I think Jay already said he has downloaded the TVS. Maybe if we have time, we can go through that.
Cool. And then also for the extensions, we're at about 50% of that. Like, Zilu did pretty much all the draft extension forms, so we need to schedule some VA work there and also just finish up and going through them. So hopefully Zilu can help with that. Cool. So is that it for the taxes? Quarterly budget. You can review
the institution
budget. What? What did you say?
Yeah. I guess it will review on institutions that we did not put the balance line.
Maybe scheduling?
Yeah.
Monthly budget preparation?
Yes.
Okay, that looks good. So then we have, oh, that's it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I think originally we put a topics, we would put that as a heading 2. So I think we're ready to go into the first topic, unless we want to take a break first. All right, why don't we just do at least the first topic or 2, and then.
Yeah, let's just do the first one.
So good.
All right, so let's go over some policy here. The first policy is, so the question is about work reporting value tracking in relationship to recording hours watched for videos.
Yeah.
All right, so the first question would be who? Who are we talking about? But overall, the policy is that all hours are tracked and everyone has the same temporal value. So for example, Jay's hours are equal to 1 hour per hour, and Lucy's hours are equal to 1 hour per hour. Does that make sense? Does this make sense?
Yeah.
So from here, we do also have a policy on the value of the hours. The value of the hours can be different than the temporal time of the hours. So we know that 1 hour is equal to 1 hour, and Lucy's hours equals 1 hour, but if you have overtime, overtime is equal to 1.5 hours per hour, right? Double overtime is equal to 2 hours per hour, right?
Yeah.
And then you could have triple overtime, et cetera, right? So you can also have video only or audio only. I think it's text only, right? Text only is equal to 25% of value. So this would be equal to 0.25 hours per hour. You've got I believe it's text and audio is equal to 50% value. Okay, so then you do text,
Okay.
audio, and computer is equal to 100% value. So the 1 hour. Does that make sense? So the expectation is that people engage in live meetings, right? And this is so we call it engagement in live meetings. So the next thing to think
What
about
the text only? Okay, sorry. Continue then.
So the only other thing to consider is like what other time exists. So there's a difference between, every worker gets 1 to 2 hours per week for individual work.
3 minutes, 2 more minutes remaining on that.
Okay. So if every worker gets 1 to 2 hours for individual work to organize and keep updated, communications, et cetera, how they use those 1 to 2 hours is pretty flexible, right? So if there's a big difference of a worker watching a video for 1 to 2 hours versus a worker watching a video, watching videos for, you know, 10 plus hours per week, right? So if they're watching videos 10 plus hours a week, it either should be for training assignments, but even then it's probably not, we would never assign someone 10 hours of videos, right? Or they are volunteering / equity only. Does that make sense? So do you see the difference, right? So if someone is just watching a few videos or you know, even just like a little snippet of a video to catch up with a specific topic that's been assigned, it should be within the 1 to 2 hours range, right? Versus if someone's watching, like, you know, dozens of videos and they're spending all of their time on videos, that's where you're getting into, like, the value is just not there. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So
Let me see what. Yeah,
this is for live sessions, right? So when someone's live, our expectation is that if they want to participate, they need to be engaged. So this is the engagement levels during live meetings.
So text only, you are live, you get 20%. So, Onodo, when you are live, then also text, audio, and computer. Okay, yeah. I understand that. So
if you're on the session is equal to actual team equity. So team equity, if you go to our value, right? So for our team equity, I mean, we're not doing team equity here yet, but this value right here of this equity, where we're getting equity, you only get that during the live session. And this is the most valuable equity and holds the power in the organization, right? And then you also get network equity. Anyone else only gets community equity. They don't actually get team equity, right? So they're losing all value by not participating in the session. And therefore, if they watch the video afterwards, there's no value in that. Does that make sense? So all the value, as far as value tracking goes, value tracking 100% team equity and value is in the live session. Actually, it's not 100%, it's 75%. And then there's 25% community equity, which is shared between everyone else. So they might be able to get some community equity, but they ain't going to get no team equity. Like, team equity is the value of the session, right? So if you watch a movie later, and it's also good to note here, during certain sessions, the value is multiplied for network equity. So for example, today it's 20 full moon. No, today's 14 hours per hour, right? So we're multiplying by 14 hours per hour. Whereas if you watch a movie later, you're getting 1 hour per hour. That makes sense? So if someone watches the movie later, it's going to be 14 times less valuable. So the 1/14th value. You guys understand?
Yes, but a question is, like, for example, a week we have like 3 global sessions. I've not engaged myself, not even checked in, not even participated through text. But on my work report, I'm recording full moon session. It was like 4 hours. I'm recording a half of it, 2 hours. Last quarter moon session was like 5 hours. I'm recording 2.5 hours. Mercury session was like 3 hours. I'm recording 1.5. Is it right? When I did not even check in, no one, I didn't even communicate whether I'll be joining the session, but I'm recording on my work report.
No. So you're just basically, you're not allowed to work unless you're checking in, period. Like, no one's allowed to work if they're not checking in, right? If we don't know what they're doing and they're not assigned to watch a video or do something, they just can't work. Right? So that's not really an issue of value tracking. That would be an issue of worker coordination. and it's called, what's the name for it? We do monthly engagement criteria, right? So in the policy regarding monthly engagement criteria, so there's two policies here. So the policy is one, if you are spending time on FQN, you are required to log and track your hours. So if they do watch a video, they have to log those hours. They can't not log them, right? And then two, they can't work if they, okay, we're almost done with this. So they can't work if they don't meet engagement criteria. And one of the engagement criteria is to check in regularly and let us know what you're doing. So you cannot watch videos, you know, without checking in, right? So technically speaking, the minimum and having a schedule. So another requirement is a schedule. So must have a schedule. So the minimum schedule is one main session or scheduled buddy team session. If we're on hard stop, it's like even more. If we're on hard stop, it's even more stringent, right? They have to be assigned anything. So you're not even allowed to work during hard stop. Not allowed to do anything during hard stop without approval. Does that make sense? So again, it comes back to the issue here of who the hell are we talking about? Because if we don't know who we're talking about, then we can't do worker coordination, right? So the worker coordination on how to address the issue is all about who. And based on who it is, then you basically can put them on probation. You can tell them, no, you're not allowed to work. If you continue to work, you're going to be fired. If it's someone who's not even engaged at all, we can just take them, that we should already be proposing them to be removed from the budget, right? So there should be proposals, like we add this to proposals to remove people from budget. Does that make sense? So in that context, on the worker coordination side, we might actually be, you know, putting people on probation. So issues, so this could be an issue, right? So issues with people not following policies, right? Basically, if you're not allowed to work, you needs to or meet worker criteria, add to policy tracking. And then also, you know, removal from budget. That makes sense? So if this is actually going on, you need to tell us immediately who is doing this, because it's against policy. And the issue would be the worker engagement criteria, not work reporting. It's not about work reporting, right? So if they're actually doing the work reporting, they're actually meeting the criteria.
We need to understand first. Okay, sorry. We need to understand first. Then at least now we understood why. Because we have a challenge on Zillow. We saw all the meeting that he don't attend, he put like, if it is 4 hours, we will put 2 hours. If it is like 3 hours, we will put 1.5. That is how we say maybe we need to understand first, so that you cannot just start telling someone don't do this before you know exactly what's supposed to be done.
So in relationship to Zillow, if he's specifically doing, for example, quote, 3 hours, 3 hour session is equal to 1.5, right? So it's like, you know, 1/2. Or he does 4 hour session is equal to 2 hours, which is equal to exactly 1/2, right? So if he's doing that, the question would be, you know, why? That's very odd, right? It's very odd to have it every single time exactly half, right? So for that context, it's like the policy is that he must log actual hours, right? Not, you know, not just half of the session hours, right? You know, it doesn't make any sense. So in the context of his actual hours, if he watches the entire session, right, then it must be 3 hours or 4 hours, right? Does that make sense? On the work report, or it would be like this. It would be if he wants to cut it in half, it would be 4. So it would be you know, watching Mercury session video, right? So on his work report, he shouldn't put Mercury session. It should be watching Mercury session video. Right? They're very different things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you can't put on work report that you attended Mercury session, right? That would be against policy if you didn't. That make sense? So you actually have to put what you did. If what you did was watching the video, it's very different than actually attending. So if you were watching the video, you would say, okay, 4 hours of work, right? So 4 hours. And then in parentheses, you would put 2 hours of work credits. So this would be the correct way to log 1/2 time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But either way, it
like,
should be worth a 1/4 time.
session.
So it should be 1 hour. If he was doing that, it should be 1/4 time, but it'd be 1 hour of work credits, right? Credits, right? But either way, work credits. We don't really care too much about that.
Yes, for example, on Mercury session, he said he watched the video 4 hours, and actually is 2 hours. So I'm like, that is why I bring up this one so that I understand. It's good. He put 4 hours and in bracket actual 2 hours.
Okay, but if he does that for every single session, it doesn't make sense, right? There should.
Yeah, true. It is every session.
Yeah, that just doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So he wouldn't. Like, is he really watching the entire video every session? I don't know. We would need. So for me, this would be an issue that needs to be addressed. So I would add to issues list, right? Zilu, Zilu's work report regarding sessions. And when he watches that in the back. Okay. So the way that I would watch a session is based on, so the proper way to watch a session would be based on the video indexing. The question is, you know, getting assigned, for example, watch the taxes section, right? So if we're watching it, if you watch the taxes section and, you know, skip around, really, you know, quickly check in on different things, you know, maybe you spend, you know, an hour, check, you know, quickly looking at the notes and watching a few sections of the meeting. Maybe it's even 2 hours or whatever, but the point is that he puts the number of hours that he worked, not half of the time of the video. Working half the time of the video doesn't make sense every time. It just doesn't make sense. And it shouldn't, if he is spending the time, it shouldn't be exactly half the time of the video every single time. It just doesn't make any sense. And also he should be, you know, asking us, right? And be like, hey,
Yes.
So he also can ask us, like, it's weird that it is exactly half every time. Doesn't make sense. And then also it's either way he should be asking us, like, is, especially during hard stop, right? Especially during hard stop, can I or should I watch the Mercury session video. Right.
That's good.
Sections. And then we could be like, you know, no, Zilu, you need to finish the taxes first. Then you can watch it. That make sense? So we would have the choice of whether or not to say he should be watching the video. Is it the top? Is him watching the video the top priority for what he needs to be working on?
No one is having problem on watching video, but the thing is, not every session, like since last year, you find like 2 hours, 1 hour, 3 hours, like the same, like that's why we feel like it is good that we come up, we understand as a team.
Yeah, so I mean, basically, if he's saying 50% time, he needs, I mean, maybe we should link his work report and take a look, but if we're doing 50% time,
yes.
There's things that just don't make sense, right? So first of all, it needs to say 4 hours, then it needs to say work credits. So it's say 1/2 based on work credits, but that would imply that he has text and audio live during a session, right? So if he's not text and audio live during a session, then where's the 50% coming from, right? If he's doing text only, it would be 25%, but he's not doing any of that. So there's not really any value in him watching the video as far as the 50%, 100%, 25%, right? It's just normal work, and he should only be doing it if he is assigned, right?
Yeah. I just linked his work report.
And here, like, let's take a look real quick. Anyways, we need to add this to the issues list. Can anyone do that?
On the issues though?
Yes, on the issues stuff. All right, so let's see if we have any of them. New moon session with video 3.5, actual 1.5. So like that obviously doesn't make sense at all in terms of like, what does that even mean, right?
Yeah.
So here's a quote. You know, what does this mean? Question mark. 3.5 hours versus 1.5 hours. So he needs to do hours of work versus hours of work value credits, right? So we do hours of work credits or something like that, or hours of work credits. And this is normal hours, right? So when he says actual, it doesn't mean anything, right? Quote, actual doesn't mean anything in our policies. It doesn't make any sense. And
Likewise, to Mercury, they say
only,
4 hours, 2 hours.
Say what?
On January 12th, he said he watched video 4 hours, actually it's 2 hours.
So I mean, you can quote it here too, but it's the same thing every time. It's just like this isn't a normal entry into a work report. It doesn't make sense. Okay, so it's an issue. All right.
Yeah.
So we can find a time to sit down with Zilu when he's available and go over it and get it all fixed up. So I mean, he's just doing work reporting incorrectly. So we need, so another next step is to review and do training doc on work reporting for new recruits and existing workers.
Yeah.
So this is also important. This would be a responsibility, and it's part of the value. This part of the preparation for our recruitment. Right?
Also, you need someone to explain to Zulu that's not the right way, so that he cannot keep on repeating the same thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's an issue. So we need to schedule with Zulu or prioritize it at a session with him to review. All right. So that's part of just making it an issue. So this is the issue for Zulu. All of this is part of the issue. Okay. So all this needs to be indexed. So the other thing that they do is index information for Zulu issue. This work report into the issues doc. All right, and that'll be all of this. So index all of this, okay? And then the other indexing is that we want to index this entire section into the HR policies, right? So we've covered a lot of policies here. There's probably about 8 or 9 policies that we talked about here, okay?
Okay, let me look for issue. Albina, did you link that already, or I should? Issue.
I did. Which one are we adding?
Oh, issue.
I added the issue, the first one.
Oh, then the policy need to be added to HR.
Policy. Do we have a policy, or what are you talking about, Lucy?
Yes. This is on how about work report. We cover some policies there. Policy number 1, 2, about the work report.
This is in the session 2. Can you?
Index the entire section to the
That one
policy.
is already in the issues doc. So what are you talking about? But the other one is index this entire section in the HR policy. Maybe you can link on the HR policy.
All right, I think we're ready to move on. Any other questions on this? I think we took a lot longer than we should have. Did we take a break yet?
We need to take a break.
Right, so let's go ahead and
Before we
take
take
a break.
we index it up to where, Jay? From where to where?
For what? Index for what?
The note policy.
The HR policies?
Everything?
Yeah, the whole section can go in HR policies because there's all these are policies. I mean, we're gonna just delete everything that's not a policy, but most of this is all policies, okay?
Okay.
And you could also link the video.
Do we have a HR policy doc?
You could also link the video link section. There should be an HR policies doc. Or just put it in the policies doc.
Okay. Yes, I think for that.
Let's take a break. 5 minutes break before we move to the second topic.
I'll just put on HR doc, policy doc, because I don't see HR policy. Okay, let's take a break. Sure. I think the break is over.
Okay, is Albina back?
Not yet.
Yeah,
And just let me, in HR policy, we have new HR policy doc.
Okay, and there could be multiple HR policy docs, which is fine. Eventually, we're going to organize all of our HR policies, and there can be a lot of them, so we could organize them into different types of policies. There was one other thing I was thinking about that I seem to have forgotten. Oh, which is that there's another thing about watching videos. So, for example, if you are assigned to watch a training video, you're not watching the training video to watch the video, right? So when you watch a video, there's a reason you watch the video. For example, if you're training, you want to learn about taxes, you're watching the Mercury Session video, but you're watching the Mercury Session video to get training on taxes, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
That
when you're watching a video, there actually should be a reason for it. If you're just watching a video to just watch a video as if you were attending the meeting, that's really weird. So, for example, is it planning? Is it responsibilities? What responsibility? You know, there should always be a reason why you're watching a video. If it's your individual time every week that you're just spending your free time watching videos because you have extra time and you don't know what to work on, right? It's like why is he watching the video should be on his work report, not the video itself. I mean, it's fine to have the video there, but there should be a deeper reason for watching a video. If he's organizing his plan for the week or getting, you know, updates or learning about something. I mean, there should be some other reason he's watching a video. The actual watching of the video is actually not work, right? So we can note that down here as well. Actually, I'm supposed to be reason. Like organizing, training. All right. So support team. So there's two options. One is to continue with the steering team. And the two is to switch the support team at the new min. Are there any questions about the options or what we're talking about? So it's like, you know, are we going to switch to the support team? And when are we going to do that? So I would say that I would give myself like a 7 on this and a 6.5 on this. So I don't really care. We can always switch back if we decide to switch, but we do want to, the support team is important.
We both ready to switch the support team.
When?
I can't remember. I think
we've never voted on the support team.
Oh, I'm so support team.
All right, so it says that me and Albina are ready to switch for New Moon. What about you, Lucy?
Yes.
I say also I'm for support team.
Okay, so are there any, okay, does someone want to take us through the official proposal?
Proposal 2. Proposal 1. Can we say all of them?
No, those are options. The proposal is, there's only one proposal, and it's to switch to support team because that's where we want to do, right? So the options are just the options. The proposal itself is the one that gets the most support.
Okay, proposal to switch to support team at the new moon. Any question on that?
The only thing is that you need to understand that it's a totally separate structure. and doesn't use main session, right? Session template. Okay. You guys understand? Do you guys understand that the separate structure and doesn't use main template session template? Okay, cool. So basically, what would happen is that on the new moon, we wouldn't be doing a main session. We would be doing a support session.
Oh, yeah.
And we would start with buddy teams. The beginning would be buddy teams. Although if it's just the three of us, it would just be us anyways, but we would still start as a buddy team. All right, check.
Any concerns? Objection? Any objection? Then proposal pass with the consensus.
So at a support team session, we can pretty much talk about anything that we want to, but it's just slightly different focus. And the first one, at least, we're going to spend at least an hour or two setting up. All right, so it's probably going to be 1 to 2 hours of just setup and you know, the new template. But then after that, we can still do pretty much anything and vote on proposals, right? Cool. All right, I think we are good. So I mean, we could do some VAA work here beforehand if we want to prepare, or we could just do it at the session. Okay.
Okay.
So I think because we could get the template ready before the session so that we're ready. But if we just do it at the session, it's fine. It'll take probably like 2 or 3 support sessions to really get them functional, and organized. All right, so let's move on. What's next?
Next topic.
The legal structure.
Yeah.
Cool. So we all already know that this is a new client. I think we'll probably put like $50 to $100, maybe $100 per month or something like that. It's all going to be BAA work. So the research is we need to find example template contracts and MOUs. So that's research. And then we need to define something we could do here. We could define what is in between a contract and MOU. So there's going to be a lot of policies that need to be created. Primarily for levels of agreement. I think I have some of that. Let me see here. I think this is pretty much everything here. So we're going to want to create client doc, right, and index this information. Legal structure.
How much potential income do we have on that?
$100 a month, I'd say. As I'm doing our work master stuff, just key. All right, so or at least some of it. So we need a name of something that's in between a contract and an MOU. So I'm not sure what to call that for now, but we'll figure it out. There's also policy on whether or not an external relationship is a partnership or a client. So that's also policy. And then what if they're both, or what if they're in between, right? What if both? And then everything needs to go through lawyers. So we need to set up time with lawyers. And here's lawyers right here, Legal Shield. Perfect timing. So, I mean, I think that's pretty much it. So there's the management processes here, management, client.
We have 7 minutes on that. 3 more minutes.
And there's also updating the budget, the potential income budget, based on the beyond super hard stuff. Cool. I think that we are good. Anything else? Any other questions on the legal structure? So, I mean, this could take 2 to 3 months, right? $100 a month could take 2 to 3 months to do. And again, it's DAA work is the primary work that needs to get done. But we can budget, a little bit towards management as well.
So where can we link the doc?
It would go under legal. It'd be under the legal doc or the clients, right?
Legal project. I think I did also the responsibility organizing there on legal project. Yes.
Perfect.
I created. Did you create another one also?
No, I'm saying I did responsibility organizing on legal project. There is legal project, so link there. Okay. Yeah.
All right, so let's move on. We are getting pretty close to time here. All right, so the mission within proposal is pretty complicated, but I'll do my best to simplify it and go quickly. Basically, we were fired from Mission Within, like a week ago, about 1 week ago. Problem is that they fired us because we had a concern regarding the legality of what they hired us to do. So basically, we were hired to focus on setting up their non-profit corporation, right? And legal compliance. We found that they were not legally compliant, and we gave them recommendations on how to become legally compliant, primarily, which is to have 51% of board and decision makers to be what's called a disinterested person, which means that they're basically volunteer. So what that means is that the people who fired us did not have the legal authority to do so because they were not compliant with the law. So it kind of creates a catch-22 that they really shouldn't have fired us. They didn't have, it just was really bad that they did, and the way they did it, the whole thing is just horrible. So technically, you know, currently the plan would be to file a CT9 that would report their report that they are not legally structured to the California government. So it's like, this is where we're currently going to, you know, within a week, right? This could happen. So the other option, and the only thing I'd say on this is that, you know, Jay doesn't really care about the money and more concerned about doing the right thing and following the law, right? So then basically I had a call, I talked with Liana, who's the secretary treasurer, right? And she basically said that, you know, they may offer and agree to, it's called like some type of severance. So basically, you know, in agreement that they would become legally compliant soon, but not now, right? We would agree to severance. So the questions are, what would we agree to? So I'm going to be, you know, Jay is not going to make the final decision on the severance. So in terms of what we would agree to, we could ask for anything, right? What I think is fair so far in relationship to this would be the following. You know, February is worked a lot in February, so this would be like 1 month right there. That really isn't severance. It's like actual work. I have some notes here. So this is what I have, is that if we did about 3.5 months, it'd be about $5,000. So this is like this is a range. So basically, I would say 1 month would be equal to normal work, which really means that the severance would be 2.5 months, right? 2.5 months is equal to 2.5 times 1,500, which would be 3,750. So this amount, this will be normal work for February, right? So this amount would be basically like a donation.
We are 7 minutes into the topic, 8 more minutes.
So whatever amount that we ask for that is above the work, so whatever amount we ask for above the work costs, we would get a the funds would go into a collaborative account, right? So basically everyone gets to decide what to do with the money. Does that make sense?
So do we have a QN lawyer?
A what?
Lawyer.
Yeah, I mean, we can ask a lawyer if you have a question. Do you have a legal question you want us to ask?
Regarding the mission within that firing us.
I mean, they can fire us for whenever they want for any reason. That's really not an issue. The only issue is that they're not legally compliant, and whether they are legally compliant. So that issue is not our issue. We don't really care about that, except for that we've done our research and we've presented to them that they are not legally compliant. So if they want to sit down with a lawyer and go over it with a lawyer, they can, but it's not really of our concern in relationship to our decision making. Does that make sense? Like, we know they're not compliant. We would just file the CT9 and report it. And so there's not really any question there. If you want to learn more about the legal compliance, I mean, there's detailed information. So the emails that we have go over the corporate framework. So, you know, basically it goes over the corporate framework and the articles of incorporation and quotes the articles of incorporation. And then we quote all of the laws for the legal nonprofit laws. So these are the legal nonprofit laws and the government codes, and how corporations must be composed of at least 51% directors who are disinterested persons. Disinterested means neither a director nor the member of the director's family is paid by the corporation to do anything other than act as a director. All right, so, and then you have duty and loyalty, you know, duty of care to the corporation and everything. So, and then there's self-dealing transactions and all these different things that are going on legally. So the legal information is all there for anyone who wanted to learn about it, but it's not necessary or applicable to the proposal. So the proposal is simply, do we want to report the legal problems, right? Which could be a problem for them, right? But they should be legally compliant either way. We shouldn't even be able to report them, right? They should be legally compliant based on what they hired us to do, which is to get them legally compliant. Instead of getting legally compliant, they fired us for the work we were doing that they hired us for, which is just very strange. And so the question is, if we were doing a severance, how much we could ask for? So the proposal would be like, okay, we could ask for, you know, 1,500. We could ask for, you know, 3,000. We could ask for 5,000. We could ask for 6,000. Or we could ask for more. We could ask for 7,500, and we could ask for 10,000. We could ask for whatever we wanted. I'm also asking maybe a connection to get 30 minutes in front of 2 to 3 potential millionaires and present the FCON Community Network and try to get donors. That's very valuable. They've raised millions of dollars. They have access to very wealthy people, so they potentially could connect us, which might be worth more than a couple $1,000s, right? But it's also a risk, right? I mean, there's no guarantee they would be supportive. For me, number 3 is basically just a requirement. I mean, basically we need in writing that they will be legally compliant. I mean, this is why we are not reporting them. But 1 and 2, we basically could decide how much we want to spend. The other option is to do it in relationship to months of work. Months of work. So is it 1 month, 2 months, 3 months? I'm saying like 3.5 months is the proposal I'm going with. 4 months, 5 months, etc., etc., etc. So 1 month basically equivalent to already worked. So this first month has already been worked. So if we get 1 month severance, that would be equal to no severance and no extra. Does that make sense? So this is already budgeted.
Yeah.
So this is already budgeted or lost. So if we lose this month and they don't pay us anything else, we lost this money, right? If we do get paid this, it just goes into our existing budget. Anything above this amount, so if we get either 2 months, 3 months, 3.5 months, anything above this amount would be new money. So it would be new money that would go into a new pool where we would all be decision makers together on how to spend the money. Okay, that makes sense?
Yes.
So I am basically not going to be involved, right? So I'm not going to be making the final decision on this. So you guys are making the decision on this on behalf of FQN Community Network workers. And then so the 2 decision-making bodies, so I can review this real quick. There's 2 decision-making groups. Like, so one is the FQN workers. And that is, Lucy, Albina, Zulu. And then 2 is the WCTC board, which is going to be Heather and Mel. Okay.
Yeah.
So even if we get agreement of what we're willing to do, like we're saying, okay, we're willing to take $5,000, which is about 3.5 months, and get connection to 2 to 3 potential donors. If we're willing to take that instead of having them be legally compliant immediately, then it doesn't necessarily mean that they'll agree to it, because they could say, no, we're only going to give you 1,500, and we don't even care either way because we're going to get legally compliant. If they decide to get legally compliant, there's nothing that they need to do. They don't need to give us a severance, right? So they could just become legally compliant and we would just leave and not bother them ever again. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So even if we approve an amount, it still doesn't necessarily mean that they will approve it. So there's 3 actual groups. So there's actually 3 decision-making groups in this. There's the FQN workers, the WCTC board, and then the third one obviously is the mission within board. And this is Amber, Will, Martine, and Marcus. And, I don't know if the membership, I don't think the membership is involved. No, the membership's not involved. Okay. And we could substitute just approval from Martine, who is the CEO/executive director. So Martine could probably sign off on this and send us the funds in the agreement without, official board approval, but basically he wouldn't sign off on it unless Marcus, Will, and Amber also agreed. So either way, it's going to the mission within board. So there's 3 decision-making groups that have to agree to this. So the question for you is what would you agree to? So would you rather do option 1 or you rather do option 2? And if we do option 2, how many months, or how much is the minimum that we would accept?
What I want to know the disadvantage and advantage on both option 1 and 2.
You want to go through pros and cons? Okay, pros. So option 1. Pros and cons. Option 2. Pros and cons. So the obvious pro of option 2 is we get money and potential resources. Right? Cons is that they do not get legally compliant. The con of not getting legally compliant means that their organization is structurally limited and at risk for government penalties, right? So the pro of forcing them, so this is legal compliance So the cons is like obviously no payment from to us, right? The pros is that we follow through with what they hired us to do and make sure the law is followed. And you know, it is the right thing to do, right? The other con for this one is that, you know, if we report them, it could negatively affect their organization, but they may also become stronger from it, right? So basically it's like, okay, we didn't follow this law. Next time we're going to follow it. That make sense?
Yes.
I would say even if we go with option 2, it's still legal, right? Because we require them to agree to become legally compliant in the future, even though there is no timeline. So they basically agree to become legally compliant, so that gets off the hook. So that's fine. And we already basically gave them all the legal information they need to never do this again, right? So this email that I sent, and I sent this yesterday, it goes over in detail why they can't do this. It's just not legal for what they did. The whole situation is really bad. You know, self-dealing transactions, all the things with the directors not reviewing the transactions. And I mean, it just goes on and on. There's just lots and lots of legal issues that they are not addressing. And then it goes over exactly what they're required to do for how they can fix the board and get it to be legally compliant. And just so you understand the type of money that we're talking about. So think about it in terms of us. So how much money do they have? So they have probably $200,000, like $100,000 to $200,000 in the bank, and potentially, you know, 1 million plus coming in over the next year. So I mean, they have money.
If they have money, then what's the problem? Is it because they're not?
They're firing
legally?
us. We're getting fired, right? They just don't want to pay us anymore. So they're firing us because they're not legally compliant and they don't want to be, right? So they wouldn't have fired us if they just did the work that we recommended, right? We did all the work to get them legally compliant, and instead of them doing it, they refused. And instead of becoming legally compliant, they're firing us, right? So as far as them having money and doing a severance, we can ask for money, right? We can ask for like $5,000. I mean, obviously they would prefer to pay us $1,000, but we can ask for more, and because they have tons of money. I mean, they have way more money than we do. That's for sure. And any other organization I know right now, they're and to give you more understanding, what is not legal is that Martine's the executive director. He's on the board, and he's paying himself $9,000 a month for a nonprofit 501c3. $9,000 a month is a lot of money. Amber gave herself a raise from $5,000 to $6,500, and again, she's on the board, so she's not allowed to do that. So neither Martine or Amber are allowed legally to pay themselves $15,000 a month. And then Marcus, who's also on the board, is Amber's spouse, so that's a conflict of interest. So the spouse is still getting paid because his wife's getting paid, and they're both on the board, so that's a conflict. And then Will's also getting paid. So all four of them on the board are a conflict of interest because they're paying themselves, and they're paying themselves unbelievable amounts of money, right? $9,000, $5,000, $6,500 is just huge amounts of money. So 9. So think about how many months. Jay has worked for 6+ months at, menial wages of $1,000, $1,500 per month, for our whole team, for our entire team of 5+ people, right? And I got $1,500 per month. They're getting, right? Martine is getting $9,000 per month. Amber is getting $6,500 per month, right? So it's just, there's just no comparison. So we could ask for, we could easily ask for 10,000, 15,000, whatever we wanted to basically compensate for how much money they're getting, right? We like $6,500, like asking for $6,000 is 1 month of work as far as Amber is concerned. And we're, right, so let's say what I asked for is $3,500 per month. So Jay asked for $3,500 per month. So if you do 6 months at $3,500,
For 6 months, you have that.
That would be $21,000, right? Instead, they got paid $1,500 times 6 months is $9,000, which, remember, $9,000 is equal to 1 single month that Martine got paid. So he's paying himself $9,000 a month, which is illegal. It's not legal under California law for him to do that. And then they fired us. And we got paid the same amount that he gets paid in 1 month over 6 months, right? And then if you do the 21,000 of what we asked for minus the 9,000 is $12,000. So we could easily ask for $12,000 for no problem, and just say, look, 12,000 is the difference of what we asked for and what we got paid. So this would be what we got paid under market value, and this would be the actual market value for the work we did.
Okay. So what if we ask 12,000? Will they pay us as every month? They have to pay us 12,000 because we are as a team.
No.
And for them, is 1 person is 9.
No, we're fired. We're not going to get anything except for 1 single last payment, and then we're gone. We're not going to get them. We're not getting any more money from them. Right? The other option, of course, that they could come back with is $0. Right? So they could come. Remember, all 3 of these groups have to agree. So if the Mission Width board says no and they say $0, we get nothing. Does that make sense? If they say no, we don't want to pay you anything, you're fired, you're toast. Our only recourse, because they're breaking the law, is to file the CT9 form. I can put the CT9 form here because it is interesting and applicable.
So, how can we stop them from getting that amount? And it is their organization.
They can pay themselves whatever they want. They just have to do so with a legally compliant board of directors. So they have to appoint a legal board that would decide to pay them that amount of money.
Okay.
Yeah,
So are we voting for them to give us money for the month that you have been working for them?
Yep. So if we want to do option 2, which is to negotiate a severance, the question is how much money we would want to ask for, and is there anything else we would want to ask for example, a connection to donors, or we could ask for anything. We could ask for help with website, right? Paid help with website. We could ask for anything we want.
Oh, then if we are going to ask for option 2, it's like we are not going to recover that money anymore.
No.
It's just like
No, we can ask for option
Okay.
1, option 2, option 3, 4, and 5 all together. It can be a package,
Okay.
right? So we
Then I'll
can
vote.
ask for a
I'll vote
quote,
for both.
severance package of whatever we want, right? I mean, obviously they have to agree to it, but we can ask for anything. Does that make sense? But again, it's not up to me. It's up to you guys to decide because I am part of the conflict. I am internally involved and I'm giving up my involvement in the final decision. So I'm not going to be making the final decision. So I'm just showing what the options are, and then you guys need to decide.
Yes. So on the money, I still have a question on proposal 1.
Mhm.
How much should we suggest from where to where?
Say again?
How much should we propose that we vote? Maybe 5,000, 8,000 on this, 6,000?
I mean, it's up to you
Or
guys. Like,
$5,000.
for me, 5,000 is where I am recommending, but 6,000 is basically half of what we were underpaid. So this is very justifiable number. Like, we could easily ask for this and just say, like, look, we deserve 21,000 for the time that we worked. Instead, we got 9,000, and 12,000 is the difference, but we're willing to accept half of 12,000. Right? So 12,000 is very justifiable. 6,000 is very justifiable. We could easily ask for 12,000 or anything in between, but like, I mean, it's
That's bad.
yeah. I mean, they totally screwed us over. It's ridiculous. So, which is why what we need to focus on in the future is our legal structure and client partner contracts, so that we don't get screwed over ever again. Can you imagine if we had contracts for the last year or two? We would we would have millions. Who knows how much money we would have if we didn't get screwed by everybody. All right. So in the context of the amount, again, it's just an initial agreement, and it's going to come back once we get the final proposals. All the final proposals have to be agreed by all 3 parties. So whatever we decide now is just like a working number. And so you can decide a range, like it could be anything from 5,000 to 12,000. But just give me something to work with, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's vote.
Yeah.
Are we ready to vote now? Yes, I'm voting for option 1.
You're voting
from 7,000
for option 1, or you're opting voting for option 2?
I will vote for both options.
Okay, so you're voting for both options, and which one are you favoring?
I for option 1, I prefer the range from 7,500 to 12.
Okay, but you're confusing things here. So there's 2 options. Option 1 is to file the report with the Attorney General. Option 2 is to negotiate severance. Within option 2, there's sections. So this would be, section 1 on money, right? Section 2 on, connections. Section 3, right? So, or no, these are requests, right? So this would be like an ask. Ask 1, we ask for money. Ask 2, we ask for connections. Ask 3, we ask for acknowledgement. Ask 4, website. Ask 5, anything else. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the first question is, do we want to file the report, or do we want to negotiate severance? Does that make sense?
There is no need of us filing the report anyway. For me, I just feel like let us for money.
Okay, so Lucy would vote for severance. Okay.
I also vote for option 2. We negotiate and see what they can pay us.
Okay, so that would be also Albina. All right.
Yeah.
All right, so then within ask 1, Lucy.
Can you say amount?
Mm-hmm.
Can you also say amount when we are voting?
Yeah, so this would be within the money, the ask 1. What's amount?
Oh, yeah. I'm from 7,000 to 12. The range should be lie between that.
Okay. And if we ask for 7,000, it could you know, they could come back with less and then we can negotiate with them, but it's like you're saying, let's start high. All right, Albina.
On 5. All the way.
Cool. All right, so I still think we have 3 asks. We have ask 2 and ask 3. If there's anything else you guys want to add, we can. Otherwise, I think we're done. Is there any other questions on it, or?
Do we have mission within DocJ? We index all this information.
Oh, mission within client doc. Yeah, you can index it within mission within client doc. Mission within client doc.
Okay.
Do you want me to link the mission within client doc?
Yes, if we can.
So how long is it going to take?
I think I
us to
got
have-
it.
It should go pretty fast, like a week or 2 to figure this all out. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Okay.
But again,
Albina, you
I
want
sent
to
them the
tell
email.
them?
I sent them the email literally yesterday. So after sending this email, they may choose to become legally compliant instead of doing the severance, which I think is also perfectly fine. That's what we want anyways. That's what they paid us to do. So it would be nice if they became legally compliant and then they don't have to do the severance. But anyways, I think we're ready to move on. I'll get the client doc for you. It's right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So-
think I already linked it there.
What is our next topic?
Before we go to the next topic, we take our break.
Okay.
Next topic is
And come back.
All right, so let's take a 5-minute break and then we talk about what's the next topic.
Yeah, taxes.
Okay.
Taxes. All right, so hopefully we can finish with the taxes and quarterly budget accounting and get all done. Although I am starting to wake up because it's getting light here.
I'm back.
Well, all right. So next is taxes. So
I'm also back.
we scheduled Wednesday, right?
Yeah, Wednesday.
All right. So is there any questions? Obviously, we need to focus on 1099s. Is there any questions, or do we want to review the plan, or where are we at? Do we review the 1099 verification spreadsheet? I think that's like good. Let's just link the verification spreadsheet and go over it real quick. If we just go over percentage completion on the verification spreadsheet, I think that we will be good. Okay.
Like verification. We have taxes verification.
That's what I'm also looking for. I don't know if we have.
I think we have.
And 99 verification sheet 2018. I think this one. Let me link this one for 2018. Okay. I got this one.
Where is it?
I linked there.
Yes, 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 yes. Oh, yes, Lord, I feel. Yes, yes. Yes.
What is it, Lucy?
Okay, thank you.
Did you guys get the link? Okay, got it?
Yeah, link.
Yeah, the link is there.
All right, blank forms. So this all needs to be done here and needs to be verified completed. So I think this is the overall verification. So the blank forms verification is like, I don't know what, 75% complete, but not, maybe we'll say 70% complete. So that needs to be done. Overall entry verification is 0%. Expected. So Jenny, we didn't do the updated 10 W9s. Verify calculation, yes. Filled out, yes. We sent it, yes. Submitted to IRS, no. Jason, Monty, Melinda. We're missing Jay. So we could separate this if we want. And we did Steve K, Laura, and those ones are done, and these ones are not. So this is yes, and that's no, yes, yes. Okay. So I would say Jenny is like 85%. Jason is, no, this is like 85%. Maybe even 90%. And then this is even lower, like maybe 40%. James, I'm gonna bring that down to 70%. Still haven't delivered it. So we have calculations, filled out form, but not sent. Jenny sent, and we'll do that at 85%. Siren, did we ever hear back from Siren? Did someone send the email?
Email to who?
To Rose and Siren?
No, I just understood. No.
Someone took on the task of looking in the sponsorship doc and getting the email and sending an email to her asking if there was anyone paid from including herself.
Maybe also confirm with Zil, maybe it did. We have this email.
Well, we can always send an additional
I was
email.
looking for the email, I did not get it.
Do we have email information for her?
Yes, let me just get it. Oh no, I think I tried to get it last time, I couldn't find it.
Yeah, last time you tried, you couldn't
The
find.
email is what we need.
So did you guys not look in the sponsorship, or I just want me to do it for you or something, or what? Did you guys not look
I
in
don't
the
think on
sponsorship?
sponsorship. Do we have information on Siren Lucy on sponsorship?
You know what I did? I just go to public ranking where I get the email for Jason and Melinda. I don't know.
Yeah, they
okay, but we're looking
on the
for
public ranking, but
Siren.
for Siren.
Let me try to find it. Siren.
That's it. Let me
Wow.
try. I remember
Really
something of that. There is email.
Okay, well, I don't actually see Siren on the sponsorship doc, so that's a problem. So, yeah. So what we want to do is, oh, also whoever put this on here, this is against policy. We don't put P codes on open docs. So this is all completely against policy. We need to add that to the policy tracking spreadsheet.
No, Jay, that was you.
Yeah,
When
it was you, Jay.
When you try to enable me for Wells Fargo, you put this information there.
All right, well then that should be me that gets docked on it because we shouldn't be doing that.
Okay.
So let's note here, add to policy tracking, no P codes in docs.
And add it there.
Or no P codes in public docs, right? All right, so, and then all the other responsibility is to find Siren sponsorship proposal. It's like, where is it, right? So that's a problem as well. Okay, well, I can think of one other place to look, which would be under the Community Life Network doc. So this would be, if we have everything together, would be our administrative main docs. But our administrative main docs are not very organized right now. So it would be this one, right? So the Community Life Network administrative doc is not even linked. Or what we do have this one, we have Community Life Network Incorporated. So this might have it. All right, here, this is it. Okay. So website, basic discussion paths, board agenda notes, email list. So this is the email list for the Community Life Network. All right, proposal for sponsorship, Library of Life, new project sponsorship, very creative. Iris, leadership committee, yay, say, checking in on next steps, nonprofit joint ventures, Spark. Spark. Huh. Can I search? Is it possible to search? New sponsorship proposal for nonprofit. Well, this one just says new. It doesn't say what it is. So let's check this one. Very creative. Great. Approving it. Approved. Okay. That is not it. OSO. So that's for us. Library of Life proposal sponsored nonprofit project. For new sponsored nonprofit project. Maybe it's this one. A tech distributed problem. No, not it. So there's got to be a way to search. How do you search? Filters. Search. Oh, here goes search messages. So we're looking for a Siren.
Yeah. It's not there. Yes, the results.
No results found. So it
No
had
result.
it had a working title. So before it was Siren, it was called something else. Maybe it was Women or Girls. In her own words, that's it. Okay, so it's Melissa Rose is the person. So the proposal is approved. Please consider the following proposal for in her own words, a student-centered project, proposal leadership, Melissa's professional experience, 5% fees. So, I mean, this project was sponsored in 2015, which I believe was right before we finalized our template sponsorship forms. So she was probably one of the very last projects that got sponsored under that policy. But it looks like her email is here. Bus. All right, so that was a long about way to find it, but it is all there because we document all of the board notes. So all of the board notes for the all MBE.
Yeah,
And making sure everything is documented and all decisions are recorded.
We have a 30-second stretch.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yes.
Stretch is done.
All right, so I think we are done with that one. Let's go on to the next one. So Siren, we move forward a little bit, let's say 10%. This one is totally done, 100%. Yes, and yes. I guess nothing's 100% because we still haven't had them. FPN Workers Org and Good Cause Group. So this is very important. Zilu is supposed to be working on this, and this is calculating the total amount of money sent to FQN workers, right? Yeah, this is what it is. So if anyone wants to help, if anyone can help.
On what?
Did you guys get this email? Can I take it off now? I'll put it in here.
Did you get the email?
Okay. All right.
No, my machine. Yes, there.
Okay, so where was I? So the responsibility is to calculate the total money for coming into Innovate United for workers. So Zilu is supposed to be helping with this. Does anyone want to help with Zilu?
Yeah, we can if we communicate. We need to schedule with them.
Yeah. So tomorrow we can work on that as well. So let's see. So that one we haven't really started, but maybe we're at like 5%, 7%. So I mean, maybe we start like a little bit. Spark is in pretty good shape. I mean, I would say it's 60%. And we have all the calculations verified. We have not filled out the forms, so we can do that. So the digital storytellers is similar. So digital storytellers is probably at the 50% mark. They completed all of the 1099s. They just need to send them to us. So calculations, are pretty much verified. the filling out the forms is happening. So they just need to send them to us. Sending to good. But the thing that we do need to do is that we need to compare all ARC and Digital Storyteller 1099s and merge the ones. If anyone wants to help me with that, that'd be great. All right, so that's super important.
I'll help you.
Cool. Good cause group is, again, that one hasn't been done yet. So for good cause group, we need to review.
Before you continue now, can you tell me what was email about? I want this to send her right now.
For what?
You're asking her about what?
So someone needs to review the good cause group CSV. I did finally talk to Mel, but she's busy. Mel will be available on Friday and after. So until Friday, she's just not really available. Okay. So we want to send her, send her email on Friday. Send email on Friday. All right. So that's moving along. And then all the cover forms, we haven't started the cover forms, but that's fine. We'll get to that. Another world, I mean, someone does need to review another world CSV to see if any payments were made. Okay. So can someone do that? And I don't think we paid anyone from WCTC. I just don't think we paid anyone ourselves for FQN, so that's going to be like pretty high.
Another one. Do we have this
on the folder?
World CVS, which I don't know this CVS about this world CVS.
It should be from last year's finances. It should all be there.
I only check on it if there is such a CVS.
Yeah, I mean we closed the account. We closed the account and uploaded the final CSVs. Okay. So just look at the CSVs you can find for another world, and then the question is, are there 2018 expenses or not? All right.
Okay.
So I think that's it. So we're making a bunch of progress. Let's see where we are overall with everything. So they're about 40%. So we're making progress, which is good. And can someone finish the blank form calculations? I mean, this is pretty simple to do.
Which calculation?
The blank form calculations.
How is it done?
You just fill in the information. So can someone do that? Can someone review another world CSV?
Where are we getting the information we are filling on the blank form?
It's all there. You just need to fill out the calculations. It's just drag and drop the calculations from above.
Calculation on the spreadsheet or where?
Yes, it's on the spreadsheet. It's right here. So how many did we order is all 0. How many do we need would be based on the total number. The 1099 small envelopes are obviously going to be the same as the verified MSNs, and then the stamps are the same. So it just needs to be updated. And then we can calculate how many backups we need. I mean, it should just get done. Anyways, we'll just do our best. If you can't do it, just let me know. Is anyone going to review the CSV for another world? This is much more important. Or what about good cause group? Are you guys just
I'm asking. Yes, I'm on email writing to Serene. What was the information about asking her to do what? Can you repeat kindly so I can send a mail to her?
Okay, so this will be communication with Melissa Rose. Did you pay anyone, including yourself, in 2018 over $600 during the year? That's pretty much the only question.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So it sounds like you guys are not going to do this. So maybe we put Zilu on it. So we'll ask Zilu. So can you guys at least send a message to Zilu to asking him to do these?
To do, yeah, okay.
Send
I-
Zilu message
I don't want to
to
go.
the responsibility.
Well,
Zillow has time I was doing that.
Can't quite hear you. I'm gonna reconnect. I'll be right back.
The payment to men.
No, this one is said we contacted them on Friday. Give you another. Okay, this one.
Let me finish on this.
Okay, are we ready to move on? Because I gotta get going here pretty soon. It's been pretty long and I'm tired and stuff.
I want to do the calculation of blank form, but I don't know where can I get the information.
It's all there already. All the information is already there. It's just about doing the calculations, and you can ask some questions if you have it, or we could do it tomorrow. We'll figure it out, okay?
Yeah. Okay. Also, I want to help Zulu on reviewing GCG services to see if the payments were made.
Okay. So yeah, contact Lulu and work with them.
Okay, did you send Zilu the message? Or you want to?
No, I'm sending the message to Serene, not Zilu. No.
Because I can see your name in the bracket. Okay, I remain Zilu.
I will remain okay.
All right. So can we move on to quarterly budgeting accounting? We need a link.
Yes.
The verification.
Can we have 15-second breath?
Nice, yeah.
Okay, let's exhale together. We inhale together, then we exhale together.
Nice.
Okay.
Can someone link the accounting spreadsheet? Or no, not the accounting spreadsheet, the quarterly budget verification spreadsheet. Hello?
Hello?
Can someone link the quarterly budget verification spreadsheet?
Yeah, I'm looking for it. A minute. I linked it there.
Great. All right. So all institutions quarterly accounting spreadsheet. So let's start by clicking on this. So here we have the minimum complete. I think this is updated and correct. So it's 53%. So the minimum complete on this is 53%, which means that it is much better. And the full complete is at 39%. It is not verified, but we're getting closer. Also, I went ahead, if you look here, so this would be the monthly endo budget, which is $3,000. And I went ahead and did some projections for the quarter and also the next half year. So what you can see here is that right now we have $3,000 for next month, but very, very quickly, and remember we also are subtracting for this month, so it might actually be less because we have to subtract for the previous month. Note may need to subtract for previous month. So let's put that in yellow because there is a current month of bills and costs. All right, so even though we have 3,000 now, within basically, a half year, 9 months or so, it goes down to 2,000. So within 3 quarters and a half year, we go from 3,000 to 2,000. So as we spend the money and the money disappears, if we don't bring any income in, then we basically have to cut our budget by $1,000 per month, which is huge, right? So not having any income for the first time, remember this is basically, we're losing all of our clients, and it's the first time since January last year that this has happened. We're pretty stable at $3,000 to $2,000 mark for the next 6 to 9 months or so. So we should be okay, at least for 3 to 6 months. But it is going to dramatically drop if we don't bring in any income. All right, does that make sense?
Yes.
Cool. All right, so I think we're done with this. Rankings proposals to move people for the budget. So, I think this is all ready for voting forms. So this would be people who are not active. People who are not active under engagement. Great. So these just all need to go into the voting form. So again, just because we add someone to the voting form doesn't mean that we're going to remove them from the budget. It just means that we're required to consider the fact that they're not following the policies and being involved to the level that we want. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we want to consider those votes. All right. Any other questions on the rankings and proposals? Okay. HR budget for 4 months.
There is a reply from Zillow. He says there was no payment.
Okay, well, we'll just email
Is it
now
the
on Friday. So, I mean, this looks like 0% to me. Where do you guys get 60 and 50%? Where do you get that from?
I think Lucy, you put 50%. HR budget.
I see 0%. I don't see anything. It's a blank form. So I would say this is 0%.
Which budget?
On the spreadsheet you created for HR budget, you put 50%, 60%, and it is blank.
I did not create that. I only create. Which one?
Just go.
Then who did? Then
Whatever. So anyways, the point is that we need
Which
to
one?
do 4
Is it
months.
the ranking or what?
Okay, so the
I
point.
create the ranking.
Okay, so the point is that this is 0%. The HR budget needs to be created in 2 weeks, right? And we have the HR budget is due in
All
2
of them are
weeks.
just 0%.
Okay, but the point is that in
I
2
did not
weeks,
create that.
you guys understand that in 2 weeks the HR budget is due.
Yeah, HR budget is 0%. Nothing is done there.
Okay, but that's still due in 2 weeks. And in addition to that, for the quarterly budget, we need 4 months of HR budgets. Getting ready, getting them all set up. Okay?
Okay.
But we can change the order here. So, well, no, it's fine. Okay, so then business cost budget, I believe we do have that started. Let's do an order here. So order. So the counting comes first. Then you've got mini endo budget, overall monthly quarter budgets. Then you've got rankings and proposals, business budgets. Well, I think that would be the correct order. All right. So the last thing you do is the HR budget because it's based on your next. All right. So for the business cost budgets, I mean, I think this is reasonably good. We're at about $500, $500 to $600 a month for a business cost budget. So I think that's pretty reasonable. It's still obviously not done, but whatever. Mini endo overall budget. Well, here let's. I feel like overall that it's might not need its own spreadsheet. Verification spreadsheet. This is not a verification spreadsheet. It's just the actual mini endo budgets. So I think we need to do. Yeah, so I mean, I think some of this is all part of the mini endo budgets as well. So maybe if we just copied all of this into there, it would be good enough.
Send a email. Send a message.
But we
saying
might.
We have 4,090.5 from CVS. Need to verify by mail if she paid herself or others out of Chase account. Good.
All right, so basically this I would put in here that this so we have to do some HR overall. Okay, so there's still something to be done on this. I think what we really want to do is that we want to go to the quarterly and monthly budget.
Mm-hmm.
Am I missing something here? Oh, I remember what it is. It's in the business cost budget. So this is the business cost mini sub endo budget. So in here, business multi-year escrow. So then you also have the FQN benefits budget. The FQN benefits multi-year budget. This is part of the mini escrow. So for FQN workers, we have back pay advances. How much do we want to budget for back pay advances? Maternity, paternity leave, health savings, biannual escrow. So paid vacation. I know this is the some of this is still worker stuff. So we probably wouldn't be having. This would be paid time off. Right. Fictitious business names aren't applicable to business costs. 5-year health benefits. Do we want to add any health benefits? But we definitely want to do, so we may not be doing health benefits yet, but we definitely need paid time off. And then we definitely need back pay advances and maternity, paternity leave. So we know we do back pay. Oh, and then they also is end of year holiday bonuses. It's like whatever the end of year holiday bonuses is, we need to put this in. So this is all part of the end of budget.
Yeah, the top of the hour.
We're almost done. Let's just finish this up and check out because I gotta get going.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you guys could get this all organized so that it's the right heights and make sure it all looks pretty and everything. And then the other one is we need another tab for the RICO benefits. So the RICO benefits budget is for the RICO value. Okay. So these all need to be calculated correctly and done correctly. So this is not in the correct place. This spreadsheet is the Juriston business costs, and so we need to change the RICO benefits to go into the monthly end of budget spreadsheet. Okay.
Okay.
Wait. Oh my God, I'm so confused. Overall monthly quarterly HR budget. In mini end of budgets. So end of budgets are not monthly. I don't know why it says monthly. Mini end of budget spreadsheet. So this is not monthly. So we do have some monthly amounts to calculate that we can consider. All right, but then what we want to go on is to the overall monthly and quarterly budget, which is here. So this spreadsheet, this tab is going to be deleted. This tab's going to be deleted, and this tab's going to be deleted and put into the correct spreadsheets, okay?
Okay.
So if we go to the overall budget spreadsheet, let's just add a tab. Cool. So this is actually more or less correct. And this is one of the most important parts. And this is where we actually start finalizing things. So this is the budget itself, and it's broken up into 5 parts. You've got the workers' HR budget, you got the workers' benefits. There's part of the endo budget. Then you have the monthly HR budget for the RICA owners, and the RICA owners' annual benefits, and then the business annual expenses budget. Okay, so all of these need to be included. You know, most likely we could add a section or a separate spreadsheet where we could do like the high or like the low, current, and high. So I would say we probably are going to want to do that, right? So we'd add a separate spreadsheet or a separate tab where it's like, okay, here's the category. And here's the low, current, and high. So right now the current is, we're talking like, okay? But
Okay.
the question is, could we get lower or higher, and how lower or higher could we get, right? So we know annual business expenses could easily be $750. This could easily be $600. We could be easily getting $1,500 here. I don't know, we haven't even done the benefits yet, but it could easily be more than $100 for benefits. And then workers' monthly budget, we know could easily be what, 2,000, right? Mm-hmm. So if we look at the high, we're looking at $5,000 a month easily, right? But how can the question is, how can we get down to 2,000? So if our low needs to go all the way down to 2,000, how do we do that, right? So then in the overall budget itself, so this is the primary overall budget. So this is next month, right? This comes up in 2 weeks, and this is the, what's it called? The 61 degree west. So this is coming up ASAP, and we're already $150 over. So this is the estimated monthly budget that we're going to have. If we do more accounting, we get more exact numbers. It could go a little up, it could go a little down, but this is what we're looking at. This would be budgeted for UNBUS, right? This is what goes to the UNBUS budget pools for workers. Here. Again, all the annual benefits are paid regardless of work hours, right? So this is annual benefits are paid automatically without work hours. So this is actual work hours, whereas the benefits are paid regardless. So you're getting, you know, maternity, paternity, you're getting paid time off, you're getting, you know, end of year bonus, right? So this needs to be included in the cost. This is for the hourly rates. This is just automatic.
So the annual the benefit, is it constantly 100, or we need to confirm the one in yellow?
Yeah, we need to confirm. So let's see if we can take a look here. I'm just going to go to this one because it's a little bit more. Or no, let's just delete this because we already moved it. We don't want to have to redo the move. So delete. And then it would be in mini endo budgets. So this is FUN workers benefits endo budget. So right now we're primarily talking about annual costs. So the question is the end of year bonus $800 or is it $1,000? Back pay in advances, how much money do we want to be prepared to give out back pay? $500.
Is that every month?
No, this is for the
Would
entire
we do
year.
that one every month?
It's for the entire year.
Okay.
Because we don't do back pay advances every month, yeah? And the annual end of year bonus is only once a year. Maternity, paternity, we don't have a lot of that. You know, Albina's been working, so I don't know what we want to do there. Paid time off, we do get paid time off. It comes out of the back pay advances, but it is technically separate. So how much, I mean, people don't really ask for paid time off, so maybe it doesn't need to be a lot. So if we did this amount, it would come out to $150, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if we'll be able to get it to $150, but that $150 is reasonable. So from there, we're looking at the RICO budget and the RICO benefits. This most likely might be going higher, right? We need to look at that. It shouldn't go up a lot higher, but it needs to be revisited. I don't know why, and this again needs to be copied and pasted over, but oh, that's the franchise. Oh, I see why it's not working. Okay, so this is the RICO budget. So the reason why it's off is that we have to delete all of this. So it's just health benefits, taxes, vacation benefits. So it comes out to like 300. So that would be a maximum of 300, although we probably can get it lower. And business expenses are like 550. You might be able to get it down to 550. All right, so you can see here that we still need to cut. You know, it's not too bad for the first month. The first month, it's like, okay, we're only off by about $100, $200. But then you can see by month 4, we are way, way down. All right.
Yeah.
So this is what we need to fix. And then this is where we look at our, this would be, you know, high and low. So low, could we get by with $1,000 a month for workers? You know, can we be benefits get down to $100? RICO's only could we get down to $1,000 for RICO? Okay, annual benefits, you know, 200. 300. Here's this annual expenses budget. We get it down to 500. Could we do less? All right, so let's see what this adds up to. I mean, so I mean, it's gonna be tough. It's tight. We are definitely tight. So the other thing that happens here is that technically speaking, I mean, we could get agreement on being over budget. Right? So what it means to be over budget is that it would then further cut the amount each month. So if we go to, this is the overall budget spreadsheet. So if we go to the mini endo budgets and we go to the monthly, if this is what's budgeted, right? This is how much we have in the endo budget for month 1. And this is the accumulative spent for that. If we actual budget, so this is the endo budget, right? If the actual budget, by going over to the overall budget right here, so we're done with that, done with that, done with that. we're budgeting 3,400. So if we come in here, we say, okay, the actual budget's 3,400 for month one, right? Then what happens and what we end up with is that it's a lot less money. So then here we have 3,400, 3,350, 3,350, right? So let's say we're budgeting 3,400 each month. The total cumulative spent is going to be much higher, right? So this becomes the sum of this. I guess we can just copy. Oh, I know it's not gonna work. And this becomes the sum of this, and this becomes the sum of this. So if we spend within our endo budget, by the end of the quarter, we're down to 2,800, right? But if we spend what we're currently budgeting, instead of spending 11,000, we're spending 13,000. You guys see the difference?
Yes.
So the higher that we budget now, the lower we have to budget in the future because we're spending the money faster. So what happens is that then every month you get a new endo budget. So you would have a new endo budget based on the new value. So then this month you spend 3,400, but then the next month, instead of having 3,000, you're going to have less. So you'd have to recalculate, the actual endo budget based on a negative, unbalanced budget. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So this is work that would need to be done in order to know how much we're going to be. So if we over budget this month, then this negative $243 affects all of the other budgets and how much we have left in the account. And so then these actually all change. So this is the estimated endo monthly budget. This would be a monthly balance budget. And then we have an additional budget. Well, actually, let's redo this down here, which would be the estimated endo monthly unbalanced budget. Okay, so we would add this in as well. Okay.
Okay.
So for this one, it might be, it might stay the same here, be the same, but then this could be less. So just to do one example here, the calculation would be equal to the total times 4%, right? But you just minus, you're just subtracting, the previous amount. So it would just be minus the amount you spent before. So you end up with 3,021 instead of 3,030, right? So it's not a big difference at first, but then you can see within, a few months, you're going down by $2,000, $3,000. And then by the end of the half year, it could be $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. I mean, it goes up really fast. All right, so that's all a bunch of work that still needs to be done so that we can get this all calculated. We're still going to have to figure out what we're going to do. I mean, we're still over budget. And it's possible we might just be in the red. I mean, we've been in the red before when we lost our clients. Like last year, we were in the red. We lost our clients. We didn't have income. We were in the red. So it's possible we're just in the red. And that's just the way it is, right? And we need to get more income to balance our budget.
Every year we lost clients. We are going down.
Well, right now we have no clients, right? Which is not good, but we're going to be fine, right? I mean, none of the clients that we've gotten in the last 3 years did we actually try to get. They just came to us. So the probability that someone else doesn't come to us is really small. But secondly, we want to get our contracts ready. We want to get our recruitment systems ready so that we can actually handle the clients. We lose the clients because we're not organized and we're not functioning as a business. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What about Vienna?
Vienna finished her thing, so I don't think she needs help anymore.
Okay.
She kind of owes us $500, and we missed the deadline by like a couple hours, but I don't know. It should be fine. We can talk about that later. But anyways, I think we're clear on what work still needs to be done. This is the most important right here. Is what is the 1 month, the first month's overall budget? Based on the approval of the overall budget, we'll determine the FQN monthly workers budget. And then you do step 6, which is the actual HR budgets. But we're supposed to do 4 months of HR budgets, but we can at least do the first month. All right?
Yeah.
I think we're done. Any other questions on the quarterly budget review? Let's double check on the verification. So endo budget, mini endo budget we started, we're probably a little bit better here. 30%. We also noticed that they're a little more complicated, that we have to copy and paste over. There's a lot of work there. Overall monthly quarterly budgets. This is getting pretty close. I mean, I would say we're 50% here. So I think overall we're almost halfway done.
Yeah. Just still we need to go and still have a lot.
So you can see the order here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The biggest missing link in the chain is this one. So we need to focus on the mini endo budgets first. All right, so ready to check out?
Yes.
Oh, do we
Before
want
we check out, do we have schedule tomorrow?
tomorrow's for Wednesday? We're scheduled to do the taxes.
Taxes tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know if we want to schedule time to do the work on the quarterly budget. Maybe Saturday.
And just Saturday will be fine.
All right. Anyway, let's check out. Lucy, do you want to take us to check out? Are you going somewhere?
Yes. Okay, I can begin by myself. I will give the session 7. Have gone a lot. And thank you, Jay, for taking us through all this. You've always been there, even when it is a late hours for you.
Well, this one was early morning hours, so.
Yeah.
I'm going to focus on access and accounting. That's some other. Checking on Zillow. Reviewing, compare all Spark and digital storytellers. 1099 match the one that overlap. I think I will have to schedule the VJ. I will work on that. And many other responsibilities that are available I can be able to do. Thank you, and thank you everyone for the session. So now, Albina.
Yeah, for me, I give question 7.5. Thank you, Jay. Since the recruitment meeting, you've been just available in the middle of your night. Thank you for sacrificing your time for us. I'm going to focus on taxes, the 99, quarterly budgets, accounting, and also monthly budget. Thank you.
All right. I'm definitely tired. I'm looking forward to maybe resting some more. The session was good. You know, I'd give it like a 6. And I look forward to getting I'm already very excited about our quarterly budget and our quarterly accounting getting as complete as it has. I mean, we're making a lot of progress. We've never been this organized with it, so it's good. So I'm already very pleased, but it will be nice to get it completed by the end of the month so we don't have to go on hard stop.
Jay, I just missed everything you said. I think
that's okay. What I'm going to be working on is definitely the budget, quarterly budget accounting. I'm going to be working on taxes, recruitment, mission within, et cetera, so lots going on.
Yeah.
Cool. And then also I want to note here is on a lot of our equity or team equity spreadsheets, I now add the calculations for calculating our X for the night. So from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. it's normal hours. 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. is overtime. Right, so this would be normal overtime, and then from in the middle of the night from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. is double time, right? So you can just plug in your actual hours here, and then it'll give the hours value equivalent, and then tell you the average X. So for me, for example, I started in the middle of the night. It was 7 a.m. So oh no, it would be here. It would be overtime. So I started overtime for 2 hours of overtime. And then we got into normal.
I think normal is normal. I don't know.
And then we did 1.5 hours of normal. So our total was 3.5 hours. So I'm at 1.2857x. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So this helps calculate the total number for people. We could just put 1.3. It doesn't really matter, right? It's about 3. But you could also put the exact amount. It's fine. Because this is technically the exact amount based on the number of hours we worked at overtime and normal, for me at least. And if we go here, it's ending at 12:30. So it's 3.5 hours each. 10.5 hours total. So we can update our network equity. Any questions on that? So this is full moon right here.
Okay, guys, thank you for today. I'm gonna leave now.
Yeah, thank you for the session.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.